Hello and welcome to the 10th edition of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund presents Voyage 2024 partnered by ET Now. Investing opportunities in A Dominant Bharat is the theme of the 10th edition of Voyage, where eminent leaders focused on various topics. At the August gathering, thought leaders from across India focused on how India is identifying investment opportunities for domestic and global investors. Eminent leaders discussed on how India is navigating investor expectations.
Now this session is all about focusing on you and our partners and our partnership. Now keeping that in mind, I'd like to take the discussion forward. So I'll start the discussion starting with Anupriya. What are the challenges that you're facing right now, again, as a second generation entrepreneur? And what is the suggestion that you have it for the next gen entrepreneurs of our industry?
We've grown up with the social conditioning. So if you have to be an entrepreneur, you need to face failure. You have to, the client will talk a lot of things. You have to hear. They'll humble you down. Because the second generation which is coming in, they are coming with a lot of education. They're coming with a lot more qualifications. And directly now, you've been given a seat, a foundation has been laid for you, a seat has been given for you, and a client has also been provided for you. So we are like this. But then when you start facing the client and then they start speaking to you, you are humbled down. And a little bit of failure has to be experienced, not little bit, failure has to be experienced. And I have faced that, and that along with the growth mindset, or rather what I would call as a phoenix mindset, you need to rise above that. You need to take that experience and make it as a stepping stone, make it as a catalyst to grow and move forward from that. That makes a lot of difference in the way we grow. And another important thing I found is depicting professional behavior. This is not an agent business or anything. You have to show professionalism to them, where you're telling them if you're getting back to them, you should get back to them. As I mentioned, the social conditioning, what we've grown with, breaking out of that is very important, because we have always been told this is how things are. So rising above that, breaking that myth, and then putting things forward along with a growth mindset will help you to transition.
Lubai, I understand there is a plan for every investor, you know. While every investor is unique, and they should have a different plan, basis their backdrop and etc., so on and so forth. But the expectations and aspirations is common for every class of investors, which is to make money too quickly. Now, how do you deal with that balance of trust, emotions, and then helping them to make wealth?
First and foremost, I don't think that every investor's goals are common, of making quick money, etc. Because one of the things I have figured is that a lot of the money script running in the mind of an investor is dependent on what was that person's experience with money when they were growing up. I think that people's behavior, their aspirations, their experiences dictate how they want to deal with money. So understanding, again, people, behavior, where they come from, etc. is very crucial. I think the mathematics of dealing with investors is something you learn very quickly probably in high school. Once you go into college and postgrad, etc., then you're starting to get into, the mind. And that's, I think, very important.
Ashish, I'll extend the same question to what I asked Loai just now.
Investors, always comes with, I would say, irrational expectations and some assumptions in their mind. And see, one of the thing we as an MFD, what we try to do is we try and give answers to all their questions, trying to meet their expectation. And I think so, that's where I have learned over last couple of decades, is that I am not here to answer the questions that he cannot control. and now trying to answer questions which is under their control. Like, when should I retire? Or should I take my retirement for my kids' education? Or should I have EMIs, or should I actually increase my SIPs? Now, these are the kind of questions where I think so my role comes, is far more important. Actually में life में उल्टा होता है, हम वो questions के answer देने लग जाते हैं जो हमारे control में ही नहीं है. And then we become the kind of a victim. आपने ही तो कहा था market बढ़ेगा, या घटेगा, या कुछ होगा, whatever. Right, best one. So I think so these are simple ways when you make himself or herself more responsible. I think so that's where the success goes up.
Rambhai, because you do business, with the community, with the people, as I mentioned to everyone, the expectation is always high, and you have to maneuver between active funds to passives, to PMS, to AIF. How do you do that?
I think this is what you need to go and tell them, that passives is definitely required. But for those set of investors where you think that you have been matured enough to identify an index by yourself. And in a country which is on a, rather I would say, we are right now not on a highway, but we are on that landing runway, that you are driving and cruising at a speed of 120, where alpha generation, what Vishal also mentioned, that even the median small cap returns gives you an alpha of 5 to 6%. Why do you want to go into funds which restricts your profits? And that becomes a very interesting topic, especially for a Gujarati, when you show them that it is greener on the other side. The conversation becomes very easy in that case. With regards to PMS and AIF, nowadays it's a social statement, that I've had of mutual funds. Now I'm only into mutual AIF and PMSs, And yes, we have been seeing this as an opportunity, wherein now we go and touch their direct stock portfolios very easily and said, look, you have done mutual funds, you think so. Let us now also look at your direct equity investments, wherein we give them a very detailed analysis of their equity fund portfolio vis-a-vis the PMS returns. AIF is one more step extended to that. But it starts with the PMS, and nowadays it's very easy to get a 50 lakh ticket.
Kapil, आप जिस तरह से बदलाव हो रहे हैं इंडस्ट्री में, निवेशकों के सोचने में, तो how are you preparing yourself to adapt with these growing changes?
So we are investing in people, in process and technology. अभी technology में अगर आप नहीं करोगे invest, तो again there is a possibility कि you might be left behind with competing platforms हैं इतने nowadays. And that's what we advise. I think जो भी MFDs 100, 200, 300 करोड़ तक आ गए हैं और वो ऊपर जाना चाहते हैं, तो they have to seriously think कि they have to start investing in these things, because otherwise growth is the only thing which can keep you alive in the business. मतलब आपके employees आपके साथ हैं क्योंकि growth, आपके clients आपके साथ, they want to see growth. So growth, the only way to grow is you have to invest. I mean you can't say कि ठीक है, it's one on one and that.
Brijesh ji, do you think MFDs are really preparing themselves for the growth that is ahead of us? I'm not talking of mark-to-market growth, because many of us think that we have created a portfolio and by just mark-to-market, I will grow at a compound so many percentage, and therefore I'll reach at the end of certain years at a certain asset level, and therefore my earnings will grow to a certain level. Because you interact with them, you run a platform called Masterstroke. What is your thought? How do you see that happening?
So my answer is no. And why I say no, that MFDs are not prepared for the type of growth we are going to witness is that we did not witness in 2014 that we will reach here, 52 lakh crores. And the same way, it is very difficult to comprehend that in 10 years where we can reach. And I will quote Bill Gates, and he says that, we are very optimistic for the next 1 year. And we are, very pessimistic kind of for the next 10 years, what we can achieve. What he says is that you cannot achieve what you plan for in the next 12 months. And you can do 10x, 100x over 10 years because दुनिया 10 साल में बदल जाती है. And we are not able to understand this because, and I will quote Loy also, what he says that, जिसके पास हो गया ना, वो और protective हो जाता है. So investors who have a lot of wealth are in the wealth protection zone. In the same way, mutual fund distributors also who have grown are now in the protection zone. हो गया, systematic जाना है, retirement आ रहा है. They are not having the courage to grow beyond their own self. And they already have 100, 200, 300 families. It is humanly impossible to serve more than that number. So in case you are going to capture the next 10 years of growth in the country, you have to do something more meaningful in terms of a technology platform, a team, or branching out, or stuff like that, which I think MFDs are not prepared for.
Anupriya, given a chance, you'll invest in, because I know you're fond of gold, I can see that. So you'll invest in physical gold or gold ETF?
ETF. There is no question of physical gold. That will also be only part. These are not real golds.
Yeah,
so it will only be physical ETFs. In fact, it will be SGBs. And that's how it is. And it will only be part of asset allocation, not to buy gold.
I'll move to Loai. Loai, quickly, RIA or distribution? What's your choice?
RIA without doubt, because that has everything in your control. You know, all distribution players, if you go back and think how much you used to earn on the same asset 10 years ago to today, it has dropped dramatically. For RIA, it has gone up dramatically.
Ashish ji, I've been asking questions with regard to MFD suggestions. If you were to suggest one thing to the sales community of AMC and for our eBSL team, what that would be?
Don't call yourself relationship managers. Call yourself business development managers.
Rambhai, तसल्ली और तरक्की?
तसल्ली. शादी करने जाते हैं तो खानदान देखते हैं. वहाँ से तसल्ली मिलती है. तरक्की अपने आप होती है. And this applies to mutual funds very strategically.
Kapil ji, India or US? I know you've come back to India.
नहीं यार, इंडिया में स्टोरी है, इंडिया में ग्रोथ है, इंडिया इज द फ्यूचर यार, इंडिया इज द प्लेस टू बी.
Brijesh bhai, storytelling or data? What would you prefer?
I mean, people buy narrative, story, the story. And somebody said very well, data is a fallacy, you can prove anything. So as a salesperson, if you're good in data, you will sell anything. But I think storytelling is something which can take the relationship to the next level.
Thank you so much for being so patient.
The biggest, mega trend right now globally is India, the land of opportunity that we are seeing here. What do you think is the perhaps next trigger?
Next 10 years, largely you will have a big delta change in consumer discretionary as a sector.
The premium India is growing, and the premium India I think will continue to grow.
We were very bullish on PSU banks, railways, defense, power sector, and more tactically on oil and gas last year.
The technological disruption that's coming through AI is certainly going to have a profound impact on IT services companies.
Welcome back. Up next is an interactive session with portfolio managers of Aditya Birla Sun Life AMC, who shared views on how India is exploring the sea of opportunities and mega trends.
The biggest, mega trend right now globally is India, the land of opportunity that we are seeing here. What do you think is the perhaps next trigger that we should watch out for India? Or more importantly, is there anything that can derail the India story?
If you look at the mega trends that we're trying to look at, we are really at an inflection point in every sense that we're trying to look at. So, first look at it from a perspective of our per capita income, and, we are closer to $2,500 odd of per capita that we're there today. And, history is full of instances where, economies which have crossed this kind of a per capita, there is a big impetus that goes towards consumer discretionary spend for incremental income that every guy is generating. And that is where the next 10 years, largely, you will have a big delta change in consumer discretionary as a sector. And we think that is a must for all investors to kind of participate. But from here on, it looks like manufacturing can actually see a very big pickup in the next 10 years that we're trying to look at. Banking and financial services, where, if you look at individual sub-segments within that, you say housing market to the overall GDP of the country, we are at a very low level, and from there for the next 10 years, we can continue to grow, higher than the nominal GDP growth rate. Similarly, an MSME segment, the total loan market is around 25 lakh crore, which is 14% of the overall loans that the banks and NBFCs in India give. But the overall requirement, which as per the CRISIL study is around 117 lakh crores. So there is a 95 lakh crore kind of a gap. And clearly there are a lot of NBFCs and banks which are coming up with various models of how you can address that. And that's a big trend where you will find a lot of banks and NBFCs participating over the next 10 years. And lastly, it's all about digital, where a lot of new business cases are actually erupting, where you can actually participate and deliver various services as well as goods, be it in e-commerce, be it fintech, and various other models. And there is, of course, AI, which is coming up, where, a lot of investments is going incrementally, which is good for the software industry per se, because, India has the largest base of software engineers to implement that, and at the same time can lead to productivity-led growth that we're trying to look at.
Thawal just articulated how the entire GDP is expected to expand and the impact it will have on consumption as well. But last 12 to 24 months, what's clearly done very well is affluent India. We have seen the urban consumption pick up like never before, luxury, premium, everything is doing well, but not true when it comes to the mass consumption. Do you think there's a reversal in place, and hence the strategy now should be to tilt your portfolio towards mass versus urban?
As India crosses $2,500 per capita, we have seen that globally, the discretionary consumption starts to play out. Consumer consume, it's just the allocation of consumption budget. Recent NSSO survey, if you saw that in detail, the spend on food has gone down, but the spend on packaged food and processed food has increased. So there's a big trend that packaged food and processed food, which is a huge unorganized sector, and as people look for convenience, there are more women working in the office space we are seeing, and nuclearization as a space. So people will look for convenience as an option. So that's where the packaged food and convenience food will grow. The second thing, which you interestingly highlighted, the premium India is growing. And the premium India, I think, will continue to grow. Mutual fund unique portfolio today would be in the range of 35 to 40 million unique portfolio, as in unique PAN card having mutual fund investor. If I look at all these 35 to 40 million are unique people in India who are consuming and who have arrived at a premium per capita income of $8,000 to $10,000. And this is going to quadruple in the next 4 or 5 years. So the premium consumer and premium consumption will continue to grow and continue to grow with time. And this trend is being seen across sector.
What's really stood out over the last, again, 12 months has been the PSU sector. That's been the mega trend that everybody, wanted to be a part of, has ridden on and had made good money on it. First, hand on heart, tell me, did you see it coming? A year ago, if I would have asked you, your fund is probably going to double in 12 months, would you have said yes?
The answer is no.
Okay, so what about the next 12 months? You got it wrong perhaps last 12 months. What about now, next 12 months?
So I'm in a happy space to have been wrong in the last 12 months. So if you would have asked me a same question last year, same time, I would have told you what is my way of managing the portfolio and construct. So we were very bullish on PSU banks, railways, defense, power sector, and more tactically on oil and gas last year. And that is how we managed portfolio, identifying few names, bottoms up, few names from top down sectoral point of view. The same question I can answer today, that next 12 months, PSU banks, we still continue to look reasonably doing well. They are into a reasonable credit cycle where there could be some margin pressures for entire banking sector, but PSU banks, because of lower LD ratios, can manage margins with credit costs still coming down only now. So they would have reasonably stronger credit cycle for the couple of years time frame, and there we can see what to do. Same as power sector. I think Ministry of Power has revised the outlook for power sector 3 times in the last 7-8 months. So the expectations of new power sector growth in the next 5 years, and not just renewables but also thermal, is a new element to think, which was not the case last year. Oil and gas again looks good. They've not done well in the last 2 years, despite sector giving 42% CAGR, or our fund giving 42% CAGR returns in the last 3 years. So these are pockets of growth or pockets of opportunity still there.
Let me talk about the biggest buzzword in town. And no prizes for guessing this one. It's generative AI and artificial intelligence. Every conversation I have starts and ends with that. Have you used ChatGPT? What's going to be the future of AI? That's the question I'll pose to Kunal. What's the future of AI? And more importantly, what does it mean for stocks, stock markets, for India? Is it a boon? Is it a bane? How are you looking at it?
Generative AI, it has not been a new phenomenon. I think it was first mentioned in 1960s. It failed to make any impact that time. But now you are seeing some of the use cases coming up. The technological disruption that's coming through AI is certainly going to have a profound impact on IT services companies. So first of it's in terms of automation. So a lot of repetitive tasks, a lot of IT support, testing related work, that could get automated. Second is in terms of predictive analytics. So a lot of, you can use AI in terms of predictive analytics and try to bring down a lot of support related spend. That's second. The third would be with regards to security. So, AI powered security systems can actually help you in terms of prevent some of the cyber security threats that are present that could be potentially come through. So I would say that, IT services companies, whichever are able to embrace to this change, adapt AI technologies and service clients will give them the competitive edge and will be able to succeed. Coming to, India tech, okay, so what we are also seeing is the rise of domestic technology platform-oriented companies there is tremendous amount of data that is getting generated by these companies. So this whole startup ecosystem, as well as, these domestic platform companies which have scaled up, they are already using a lot of, AI and generative AI in particular. So I think, they can definitely get that. They are already getting that competitive edge.
And that's what we're discussing, sea of opportunities which are there. So clearly this is one big opportunity that lies ahead for the Indian IT and the way other industries too. Thank you, gentlemen, for talking to us and helping us understand all the mega trends which are right there out in India. And that clearly is the biggest trend of it all, India and Vibrant Bharat.
Voyage 2024 was a successful event where global and domestic experts, policymakers, economists and industry stalwarts shared their views on how India will be the next destination in the world for investments.